Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So I wanted to jump on here and do just a quick pregnancy update. I have not done a good job of doing any kind of an update in this pregnancy, but I did want to kind of talk a little bit about what is going on with us. And by us, I mean me and baby. So this is our 5th baby, and this is the 3rd baby that we have had any kind of a complication with. So the first 2 were very easy, just your basic run-of-the-mill pregnancies and childbirth. And then once we hit our 3rd kid, I started having a little bit more health problems, I guess you could say. And then that continued on with our 4th kid. And I thought that we might be able to avoid it with this one, but unfortunately it kind of sat in much later. So I think that the most common pregnancy related health problems tend to be things like high blood pressure and anemia. And I don't have any of that. Gestational diabetes, I don't have any of that. But I was super blessed, I guess, to be the one in about 1,000 women who develop what is called intrahepatic cholestasis of pregnancy. Cholestasis is what we call it. And basically the idea is that the bile acids or the bile salts cannot, for whatever reason, don't go into your small intestines, and it has a lot to do with hormones and how all of that works when you're pregnant. But instead of going into your small intestines to help break down any fat that you consume, it goes into your bloodstream, and it is the most intense. They say it's itching, but I don't even know that itching is the right word. Usually in the palms of your hands and on the bottom of your feet. So if you are pregnant and you find that you are getting really intense, hot, itchy hands and feet, it can happen anywhere on the body, but the hands and feet are by far the most common. You definitely want to talk to your doctor about that, and a good doctor is going to immediately send you for testing for this, because it can have devastating effects specifically on baby. It definitely can lead to, if you go far enough into the pregnancy with it and it is serious enough, then it can lead to stillbirth. And so you want to be super cautious about that. So the first time that I had it with our 3rd baby, I told my doctor that I was having this intense itching. I don't really remember on my feet for that one, but my hands were they were on fire all the time. And I talked to the doctor, and that doctor kind of just swept everything under the rug. He said, "Oh, I can test you for it." He tested for it. The problem though is once you start itching, a lot of times it takes a couple of weeks for the test that they do for it to actually come back positive. And so I was seen very quickly after I started itching because I was very concerned about it. And he did the test, it came back negative, and then he refused to ever test for it again. I went on to have a scheduled induction at 39 weeks with that baby, which is much later than most OBs would recommend. And so thankfully she was okay. She was totally fine. She was totally healthy when she was born. But it was always kind of a concern in the back of my head. We did not proceed with that doctor ever again for a few reasons, but we did not proceed with that doctor ever again. And when I was pregnant the next time, the itching started much earlier. So I want to say around 20-ish weeks, and I started feeling that itching again. And I immediately called my doctor, and she said, "You need to get in, we need to get this tested, we need to figure out what's going on." So I went in, and got tested, and it came back negative again. And I was so frustrated. And my doctor was so calming and sweet. And she said, well, just because it came back negative the first time doesn't mean that you don't have that. We need to stay on top of this and keep a close eye on it. And I ended up testing again, I want to say 2 weeks later, and it did finally come back positive, which nobody wants that, but it was nice to actually have an answer and to be able to say, okay, I wasn't crazy the last time. I really did have it the last time too, which she also confirmed. She said that once you have it, you're like 90% likely to have it in subsequent pregnancies, and especially a severe case of it, which when I explained to her what I was feeling, she said that definitely seems like a severe case of it. So fast forward a few weeks, I ended up on medication for it. That did help some, but it can only do so much. It cannot actually fix the problem. And so I ended up in the hospital at 34 weeks. And after looking at all of my lab work and checking on baby and everything, my doctor said, we need to get you in beginning of next week to schedule an early induction. We need to get this baby out as soon as possible. So at 35 weeks exactly, I went in to have a scheduled induction. I was induced, was in a nice hard labor for 12 and a half hours, but baby just she was not ready to come out yet, and she just would not get in the right position. Her head was not in the right position. So even though I was on the medication and I was having very, very regular hard contractions, I was not I never progressed past a 1, I don't think. And so just her heart rate started to go down, especially with the contractions. And so my OB decided that it was the wisest thing with where my labs were at, with they had already broken my water, with all of this stuff that was going on, that we needed to do an emergency C-section and get her out of there. So she was born at 35 weeks. She was right around 5 pounds, but she was perfectly healthy and never spent a moment in the NICU. We were so thankful for that. And we thought, okay, that's it. I think I don't want to do this ever again. It was really scary. It was a fairly traumatic experience to go through. Really, really scary few weeks there at the end, especially. And we were like that, okay, we're done. Which is why we had such a big gap between our last baby and this one. And I finally started doing a little bit more research, and I have a friend who just finished, she's had her 10th baby, and she was telling me her first 6 she had this, and then she changed her diet and was able to completely go the last 4 pregnancies without ever dealing with it at all. And so I decided, okay, we're gonna try to go a little bit more of a natural route with that. And I changed my diet in a pretty big way. I pulled out as much dairy as possible. I tried to pull out as much fat as possible. I was pretty much only eating meat that was very lean. I did still eat red meat, but for the most part, I was making sure that it was the leanest possible way to eat it. So very little cheese, no milk. I still had cream cheese from time to time, but for the most part, I tried to pull out as much of that stuff as possible. And it seemed to be helping, but then I ended up having to have emergency gallbladder surgery at 16 weeks with this baby. So I wasn't itching yet, and I was told that there was about a 50-50 shot that having my gallbladder out was actually going to alleviate that problem, because they don't really know what causes cholestasis. They just know that it can be intertwined with a bad gallbladder, which I didn't know that you could have gallbladder issues specifically because of hormones and pregnancy as well. But apparently you can, so there's that. So I had my gallbladder out and we thought we were in the clear. So I was still making sure I was drinking lots of water, and I was trying to stay away from as much fat as possible. And that helped until I hit about 31 weeks, 32 weeks. And it was much later in this pregnancy, but I started to feel the itching coming on. And I immediately talked to my doctor and said, I can feel this. And she said, I just 100% knew that this was going to happen. And so she had me go for the testing. She said, I don't think it's going to show up yet, but let's get that testing done. And then sure enough, she told me at my next appointment that I didn't need to test again because I had already tested positive. So the itching thankfully isn't as bad this time, but it does mean that we are looking at another early C-section. So we have about 30 days from today until I will go in and have this sweet girl. And I'm very, very thankful that so far so good. Everything is fine with her. The itching has been not as crazy, but I can still feel it. And as it gets warmer, it definitely gets worse. So I will be happy to be over that. If you have ever had cholestasis, then you know that you have this like intense, crazy itching. And then pretty much the moment baby is born, your body, the hormones change and your body starts working correctly. And then all of a sudden it's just gone. And so with the last two babies, that is what happened. When baby came out, that was it. I never felt it again after that, until the next baby. And so that's kind of where we're at on that. So we will be going in for a scheduled C-section at 36 and a half weeks, something like that. And it wasn't my birth plan. It was not what I wanted to have happen. But in the end, we're going to do what is actually best for baby, and just kind of be cool with that. So that's where we're at. I just kind of wanted to share an update and just talk a little bit about cholestasis. I was really surprised when I got it, how many people had never heard of that before. I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you have any more questions about cholestasis, or if it's something that you have dealt with in the past, I would love to hear kind of how you handled it, how you dealt with it. So that is it for this time, guys. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully soon, well, not hopefully, it is going to be soon, you guys will see a lot less bump and a lot more baby in videos. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.